Our entire friend group insulted his masculinity at dinner, and his retribution stunned the whole restaurant. At dinner, all of our friends made fun of how manly he was, and his response shocked everyone in the restaurant. Hey there, Reddit. Since this is my first post here, please forgive me if the story doesn't run as well as the ones I've seen on videos. Watching Reddit story collections on YouTube is something I like to do in my free time, but I never thought I'd be making my own. But when I really needed help and advice, I thought, why not Reddit? Anyway, I'm scared, confused, and trying to figure out what's going on as I type this in the middle of the night. My world seems to be falling apart, and I don't want to lose my marriage over this. Okay, I know that relationships have rough spots and that nobody is perfect, but Matt seems to be exaggerating this time. He has totally cut me off, and it hurts my heart. Let's talk about how to move forward. Please sit down and talk to me. I do not want this to be the end of our relationship. By writing this post, I hope to see things more clearly and maybe even show Matt that I'm ready to do anything to make things right. I'm not perfect and have done wrong things, but I love him and can't picture my life without him. Let's keep our names secret and call me Amy and my husband Matt. He's 28 years old, I'm 29, and we've been married for 2 years. We've been together since we met in college. Matt really is a wonderful guy in every way. Matt has always been his own person. Sure, he's quiet, but don't think that makes him weak. He knows how to defend himself when the time comes. That's just not his personality. He's not that loud and showy. He does his own thing and stays by himself. It was one of the things that made me like him in the first place. He was different. Other guys I dated were loud, annoying, and always trying too hard to show how strong they were. He wasn't like that. Matt didn't have to do all of that, but he did. But I would be lying if I said I didn't find some strange things about him. Some people might say that Matt's interests aren't typical for a guy. He really and truly loves baking. He'll spend hours getting a cake recipe just right or trying out new ways to make bread. Also, don't even get me started on knitting. His hand will be making a scarf or blanket next to me while I watch TV on the couch. When I thought about getting a man's man, this isn't really what I had in mind, you know? Besides that, he's crazy about clothes and skin care. Matt really loves taking care of his skin, and his process is more complicated than mine. All of these things are lined up in the bathroom, and he uses them all the time. Besides that, he looks better than everyone I know. He has that ability to make even the most basic outfit look like it came straight from the catwalk. He really looks like he could be a model. I didn't mind much at first. Really, who wouldn't want a hot husband? Matt is also hot. I see how people look at him when we're out together. Somehow it makes me feel good, since he's mine. I felt a little strange about it as time went on, though. Men didn't do things like bake or knit when I was growing up because my family was very traditional. I think I've never seen my dad cook a meal in his life. He didn't even know where the vacuum cleaner was. Men were supposed to be tough, stoic parents who didn't stress about whether their serums had the right amount of hyaluronic acid or how flaky their pie crust should be. That's why I said it was a little strange for me, not bad, just different. Matt made it work, though. He's good at what he does, and I got used to it. He has a stressful job in cybersecurity, but most of the time when he's home, he does the housework. He does everything for me, cooks dinner, cleans up, and does the laundry. He even tells me to take it easy while he takes care of everything. And while I liked it, who wouldn't, I had the feeling that something wasn't right. It wasn't that I loved him less. Sure. Yes, I did. I had always thought a husband should be a certain way, but this picture of my husband didn't fit. That being said, I will admit that there were times when I wished he was a little more typical. What do you mean? Would it kill him to put down the knitting and do something around the house? I understand that it sounds awful, but I just can't help how I feel. Matt wasn't at all what I thought a mate should be like from my childhood. I liked his quirks and how he always made sure everything was spotless, but I couldn't get rid of the feeling that something was missing. Would it really hurt him to act a little more like a movie man? You know, someone who can cut wood, fix cars, or at least act like they know how to build a shelf. It might sound selfish, but I've always been a little selfish. Things are the way I like them. That's what I like about being cared for, and even though Matt did care for me in many ways, it wasn't what I thought I wanted. Even though I liked how he took care of himself and made our house feel like a fancy hotel, I really wanted him to take charge in a more usual way. I would have liked to feel like I had a man in the house, not just a partner who could bake better pies than my grandma. Then there were my friends. A few of the girls I worked with before I quit my job to stay at home with my kids. It's funny, but we never really talked when I worked with them. Even though we were friends, we didn't hang out on the weekends or anything. But something changed after I quit my job. There were people who stayed at the company and people who went to other jobs. I, of course, quit to focus on making a house. That's what I told everyone, anyway. We tried harder to see each other after we left, though. At first, it was just a few texts, coffee dates, and meme sharing, but soon, we were hanging out all the time. When I say regularly, I really mean it, dinners, happy hours, and shopping trips every week. To be honest, I loved how these girls saved my life. I loved having a group of women who understood me. They weren't afraid to talk about how angry or frustrated they were with their husbands or boyfriends or to laugh about the silly things their partners did. At first, it was just fun and games. We'd drink wine, hang out, and make fun of our partners' stupid little habits. It was just joking around and didn't mean anything. But as we got to know each other better, those jokes turned into more serious talks. We started to be honest with each other about our problems, our fears, and everything else we didn't want to tell anyone else. That's when Matt really started to stand out. No, I really didn't mean for it to happen. I did say something, though, after a few drinks of wine one night. I told you that Matt knitted scarves, baked macarons, and followed his skincare routine like it was a holy rite on the weekends. I thought it would make people laugh quickly, maybe give them a funny story to tell and then move on. It wasn't just a joke, though. The girls found a lot of gold there. It was as if I had let all the water out of the tap. It was too good for them to stop. Everyone I hung out with started making jokes about house husband Matt, or how I must be the man of the house. They'd say things like, "Wow, Amy, does he let you wear the pants, or does he just pick out better ones?" I laughed along at first, of course. What else should I have done? Just stand there and defend him like a jerk. It wasn't like they were wrong either. It was funny and didn't hurt anyone. I didn't want to treat Matt badly. He's my husband, after all. I believe I love him. I couldn't deny, though, that what they were saying and the jokes they were telling hit home. not that they were saying anything new that I hadn't already thought of. In a strange way, their jokes made me feel like I was right. For the first time, I didn't think I was crazy to want more from my marriage. Matt would spend hours polishing the icing on a cake instead of doing something more manly, and I wasn't crazy for getting annoyed. These gals got it. They knew more about me than Matt ever did. In all honesty, it felt good to be validated by them. It was nice to have someone else say the things I was afraid to say out loud. It was nice to know I wasn't the only one who felt this way, that other women shared my complaints and we could laugh about them together. Okay, so maybe it wasn't totally fair to Matt, but I didn't care at the time. Everything was terrible, but the worst part was how much it started to sink in. All of the jokes, teasing, and comments got stuck in my mind so deeply that I didn't even know it was happening at first. It dripped slowly. Over time, it changed how I saw Matt and how I interacted with him. Small things like joking at dinner that he was mostly a house husband or making fun of the fact that I was the man in the relationship were the first signs. I thought it was safe at first. To be fair, I wasn't trying to hurt him. It was just a joke, right? To keep things light, just a little fun. After that, it happened more and more often. There were more funny jokes. The mocking got more direct. When he talked about his latest knitting project or asked me to try out a new treat he was making, I would roll my eyes and groan. The jokes stopped being jokes at some point. I couldn't ignore them anymore, they felt like little facts. I guess in a weird way, I wanted him to feel it too. Yes, I did start to act differently. Small things I'd say in a way I knew was almost condescending would bother them. He would spend hours in the kitchen perfecting a fancy dessert, or he would get excited about making a new sweater. I'd make fun of them and say something mean. Some part of me didn't like Matt, even though I loved him and appreciated all he did for me and our house. I didn't like that he wasn't the strong man I thought I wanted. The fact that he seemed so happy with how things were made me angry, because I wanted him to change. I wasn't the only one who made fun of Matt. It was everyone in my group. My friends loved making fun of him when he came out with us, which didn't happen very often. I ought to have helped, but I didn't. Even though I could tell he was hurt, it was easy to just laugh along and go with the flow. There was a dinner where everything came to a head. I chose the restaurant, the fancy, pricey spot that I knew Matt would cover, since that was what he always did. It was a good start to the night. Things were the same as always. We ordered, we talked, and everything was fine. Then the subject of being a man came up. At first, it was just my friends being sneaky about guys in general, but soon they started making jokes about Matt. I didn't join in at first, I just laughed along. But as it went on, it got easier for me to do so. At the time, it didn't seem serious, it was just a joke. People said nasty things about his interests, his skincare routine, and the way he dressed. My friends made fun of him by painting this picture, and I agreed with them. I can still hear the joke I told him about how he probably spent more time on clothes shopping than I did. He suddenly lost it. Even though he didn't yell, his voice was loud enough to silence the whole room. He began to name my friends one by one and point out how dishonest they were. He didn't hide anything. He told them that one of them was sleeping on someone else's couch because her partner had kicked her out for cheating. He told on someone else that they were lying about being rich while wearing fake gold and being deeply in debt. He called out the person who was unemployed but said they had a well-known job. He then looked at me. He thought it was crazy that I was making fun of him while I needed him for everything. He told me that not only did I depend on him for money, but I had also brought a bunch of poor people with me who were fine with ordering expensive meals because they knew he would pay for them. He told us all that we were lying and that he wouldn't pay to feed people who pretended to be better than him but were actually less important than him. No one spoke in the restaurant at all. Everyone was looking at us, and I don't blame them. That's all Matt said as he stood up, took out his wallet, paid for his food, and left. I couldn't even move because I was shocked. Both of my friends were shocked, and they just sat there in awkward quiet. At some point, the truth of the matter became clear. He wasn't exaggerating or being emotional, he had made his point. I wasn't going to pay the bill either. My friend started to talk and look at me with worried eyes, as if she thought I would be able to hide it. But I couldn't. I told the waiter that we would split the bill. Things got messy after that. They didn't have any money to buy food. They begged and fought, but I wouldn't budge. The people who had been making fun of my husband all night didn't deserve to pay for their own food. I went to my phone to check our shared account so I could pay my part, but when I opened it, my heart stopped. The account was drained of all money. Fear set in. I was sure Matt had taken back everything. He was very angry, and this was how he wanted to say something. I was so upset that I called my mom for help. She was mad, but she agreed to give me the money. I told her I would pay her back, paid my part of the bill, and then left my friends to handle their own problems. My only goal was to find Matt. I called him several times, but he never answered. I couldn't even get home because he had taken my car. I called my mom again because I had no more money and asked for help, but she was already busy. I finally had to call my sister for help. She sent me enough money for an Uber. The house was empty when I got home. Matt did not show up. He didn't come back, so I paced and checked my phone every few minutes all night. I was a mess by morning. I did not know where he was or how to fix what I had done. It was the next day, and Matt still hadn't shown up. I was in a full-on worry mode and kept calling and texting him. It seemed like every call and message went straight to voicemail. It had been 3 long, painful days, and there was still no sign of him. To find him, I looked everywhere I could think of out of desperation. I first went to his parents' house in the hopes that they could help me figure out where he was. They wouldn't even let me in when I got there, though. I was told to leave by his mother and not come back. She threatened to call the cops if I didn't. They were sure that Matt told them everything, and they were fully behind him. After that, I tried his brothers, but the same thing happened. They wouldn't answer my questions. I tried to explain or beg, but every door I knocked on was shut in my face. I was met with silence or open hostility every time. It felt like I was not a part of his life at all. As a last resort, I went to his place of work. I believed I might be able to meet him there, talk to him directly, and at least get some information. But when I got there, his coworkers called security, who took me out of the building without saying a word. It made me feel bad. That's when I thought he might just need some time and space. Perhaps he was too busy, I told myself, and he would return when he was ready. I hoped that we could make things right, talk it out, and start over. He finally came over to the house after being quiet for about a week. My heart skipped a beat when I saw him. I believed this was the time when we would begin putting the bits back together. I was ready to say sorry, beg, or do anything else that would make things right. But the way he looked broke any hope I had. He wasn't there to make things right. He didn't show up to talk. He was there to put an end to it. When he told me he wanted to split up, I felt like I had been kicked out of the house. I was short of breath. I began to cry and hyperventilate while pleading with him not to give up on us now. I begged him and told him that I would do anything to help us work things out, even breaking ties with my friends. I told him I had already stopped them. I hadn't talked to them or even looked at their texts or called them since that night. He just shook his head when I told him I was ready to do anything. He told me that he couldn't stay with someone who thought they were funny and put him down so badly that she would do it in front of other people. He said he didn't want to work on it and that he deserved better than to be someone's joke. I couldn't stop crying at that point, and I grabbed his arm to beg him not to end our marriage, but he was set on doing it. It was still light outside when he told me to pack up and leave. He even said he would call an Uber and pay for it. I begged him not to send me away and asked him to give me another chance, but all I could hear was silence. He did not yell or get angry. He quickly called an Uber and began helping me pack my things when it became clear that I was too upset to do it on my own. It was so dark outside that I could hardly see him carry my bags to the car. He opened the door, put my things inside, and gave the driver the address to my parents' house when the Uber came. I begged him one more time, but he didn't answer. He shut the door and went back inside. It was hard to focus on the ride to my parents' house. I cried the whole way. My chest hurt, and my mind was spinning with ideas for how to fix this. I'm sorry I let things get this bad. He didn't want anything to do with me because I hurt him so badly. They were shocked to see me like this when I got home. They had no idea what had happened, and I couldn't find the words to explain it. I just wanted to cry. I didn't want to split up with my husband. I didn't want Matt to go away. I don't know what to do now. What should I say to him to show that I'm honest, ready to change, and ready to do anything to make things right? How do I make this right? How can I prove to him that I'm not the same person who hurt him so badly? How do I get my husband back? Change. Hey, there, Reddit. First, I hope I'm doing this right. Now that I've said that, I really hope this is the right way to post a report again. I've been reading everything and trying to make sense of it all. The fact that you posted this here really woke me up. The DMs and statements about how awful I was. It really hurt. Like, reading it hurt, but it also showed me how wrong I was and how bad everything I did was. After a lot of thought, I now understand that I would apologize to Matt 1,000 times more if I could. I would try, but maybe that wouldn't be enough. It was true what a lot of people said in the comments: some things can't be fixed in a marriage. I was given papers for a divorce. It's still hard for me to believe. I feel like I'm not awake. My parents keep telling me I shouldn't be shocked and that I should have known what was going to happen, but I have to admit that part of me was still hoping that a miracle would happen and we could make things better. I guess that's not going to happen now, though. I've thought about this for a while and I know I made a mistake. Sorry won't make things better, I know that. It's a nice word, but it won't solve everything. No matter how many times you say sorry, it doesn't mean much if you keep hurting the person you say you love. Matt is done with me. I can't even get a chance to make things right with him. I called and texted him a lot, but his answer was always no. He won't move. That's it, I guess. He's done. It was even worse that he was my only source of income. I have to depend on my parents to stay alive now. I've cried so many times I lost track. I really don't know where I'd be without them. Yes, I do. It's likely that I'd be crushed. I can't even think about what my life would be like without them right now because they've been so important to me. I no longer know what to do. I don't really. I'm lost. I haven't heard from my friends since that day. They texted me a lot, but I deleted them all before reading them. I couldn't look at them. Their words were too quiet for me to hear. For sure, I've cut them off 100%. They are not someone I want to be around. I don't want to hear from them ever more. I thought they made things worse. They made me think of all these stupid things that hurt my marriage, and I'm done with them. I no longer care about any of them. I may have liked them, but I'm not going back to them. Still, it's strange. I often think about how different things might be now if I had only done something different. I forgot about what really important because I was too busy with my own stuff, and now it's too late. I have no idea what to do next. I guess all I wanted to do was let you know that I now understand how bad I was. I don't think anyone will forgive me. I don't think Matt will ever do it, but I'm trying to deal with what I did. I still need to learn a lot about this. I don't know what will happen next, but I'm also trying to figure that out. Last update. Hey there, Reddit. It's been a while since I last wrote something. Life has been a mess, to be honest. Everything has been so important to me that I couldn't even post. Now that I'm writing this out again, though, I feel so ashamed. Now, here's the thing, I think Matt found my first post. He doesn't really use Reddit, but I'm sure someone else saw it, found it, and told him about it. When he sent it to me, he just said, "This you?" That's when I really understood how bad I've been. I swore I wouldn't post again, but here I am. Today is the last day of this mess, and this is my last report. I really want him to see this and maybe, just maybe, understand how bad my life has been these past few months. He might even see how much I feel bad about everything and how badly I want to make things right. We could start over and go on a date or something. I'm not sure. I understand that this sounds sad, but I'm really lost. To bring everyone up to speed, I lost it after the divorce was completed. I guess that was the turning point. I hadn't fully thought about how heavy everything was until that moment. I couldn't handle how everything seemed to be falling apart around me. I was evaluated in a 24-hour psych ward because I really didn't want to be here anymore. I thought I couldn't handle the pain any longer. Things didn't get better after I left. Then my parents, who I thought would be there for me, turned their backs on me. They told me I was too much for them and that they were too old for this kind of drama. With 1,000 needles, it hurt so badly. But they threw me out. These were the people I thought would always be there for me. This meant I had to barely get up and go to my cousin's house to stay for a while. I had nothing left. No one came back. I finally got a job as a live-in nanny after some time. I did everything I could to stay alive. As I worked hard for people who seemed to think it was an honor to have me there, I felt like I was working myself to the bone for very little pay. I felt like it wasn't the life I wanted, but it was all I had. It was really hard. I was only trying to stay alive. I got sick after that. I got really, really sick, as if things couldn't get any worse. I was in the hospital. Of course, I couldn't pay my hospital bills, and I was fired. Right now I can't even buy my medicine. I made a GoFundMe page, but people aren't really giving, and I don't blame them. I'm now kind of without a job and a place to live. I'm looking for jobs where I can live there. So, if you have anything like that, please send me a direct message. I had to move back home too when I lost my job as a live-in maid. I moved back to the place where I grew up. Even though they still won't let me stay with them, our relationship is getting better again, so who knows? I can't even recognize myself when I look back at everything. Before I lost everything, I didn't know what I had. It was easy for me to think that things would always be there, but now I see how wrong I was. I've lost Matt, my friends, and all the security I had. I had no idea how things would turn out. I guess I couldn't see how good things were for me because I was too proud and stupid. If I could go back in time and fix the mistakes I made, I would. But I can't. I can only think about what I lost and hope that there is a way to make things right. Everything is probably going to stay the same after reading this, and I doubt Matt will ever see it. I want him to know how sorry I am if he does, though. I'm really sorry. He should have had more. Someone who would stand up for him and not push him away like I did was due. I truly failed to do my best. I ought to have done better. Really sorry for what I did. I want him to know that I would do anything to make things right if he gave me even the tiniest chance. Yes, that's why I'm writing this. My life has been a crazy, never-ending roller coaster of pain. It hurts the most to think that maybe things wouldn't have turned out this way if I had just tried harder and cared more. I might not have lost everything. I really dislike myself right now. I keep thinking about how much I hate myself, and it's like I'm stuck in a never-ending loop. It's even worse that I don't know how to stop it. I feel stuck and unable to escape from the mess I've made. What I'm going through makes me sometimes wonder if it's my punishment for what I've done. Like I've earned this pain. I feel bad about myself because I know I could have done better. I could have been a better friend, partner, and person. I wasn't, though. I was rude to myself. I wasn't paying attention, and now I'm paying for it in ways I didn't expect. It hurts to say this, but I think the hardest part is realizing I don't know how to fix things. It's not my job to fix it. I've tried saying sorry. I've tried to do better. But there are times when it seems like it's too late. It might be too late now. Perhaps I will always be stuck in this mess, which is just what I deserve. Matt might never forgive me. But I want him to know that I'm truly sorry and that I would give anything to go back and fix things.